So there are two words in the Bible for liberty or freedom. The first is chofesh, and that's used in Exodus for the manumission or the release of the Hebrew slave. When you acquire a Hebrew slave, he shall serve 6 years, uvashvi'it, and on the 7th year, yetzeh, he should go lechofshi chinam. He shall go free without any payment. And this word chofesh is the same word used, of course, by Naftali Hertz Imber in the Hatikva, liot am chofshi baratzenu, to be a free people in our own land. And in modern Hebrew, chofesh means to have a holiday. The other term, and one that has particular relevance for us at this time, occurs in the first of our two parashiot this week, Bahar and Bechukotai, in the description of the Jubilee year. Ukratem dror ba'aretz lechol yoshveha. You shall proclaim dror, release, throughout the land for all of its inhabitants. And in this context, the word dror means release or liberty. Slaves go free, the land returns to its original owners, and liberty is proclaimed throughout the land. Now, this word dror is a very unusual one, and the sages struggled to understand it and to give its precise interpretation. So we have a number of interpretations from various sages, and a very quick trot through them goes as follows. Rashi in the 10th century explains that the word dror is related to the word dar, which means to dwell. Dror and dar sound pretty much the same. It refers to one who dwells in his own domain and doesn't fall under other people's control. And in the context of the Jubilee year, slaves now are at liberty to go home and to be their own masters. And so that is dror. In the 19th century, Rabbi Meir Leibush ben Yechiel Michael Visser, known as the Malbim, notes that the word dar reflects freedom of movement. So for him, it's not just the ability to go home, but dror means you can go wherever you want. Still in the 19th century, Rabbi Shimshon Raphael Hirsch explains that dror means returning to one's natural disposition. And of course, in the context of the Jubilee, everything returns back to the way it was. It is the button that you press on your computer that takes you back to your first position. But in the 12th century, the Ibn Ezra really captured the image of dror beautifully. And basing himself on a comment of Rabbi Yehuda in the Talmud, he says that dror is a bird. It's the name of a bird. And more specifically, it's been identified as a sparrow. And the thing about the sparrow is apparently when it is free, it sings. When it is captured, it refuses to eat until it dies. And as such, whereas the Americans have a bell as their symbol of liberty, the Liberty Bell, the Jewish symbol of freedom is a bird, unbound, moving, flying high, spreading its wings, taking flight, making its home wherever it chooses. Dror, therefore, means being as free as a bird. And that's the ultimate freedom of the Jubilee year. And I think it's true to say, it's the freedom that we yearn for as lockdown loosens, and we long to spread our wings. After all, to nest wherever we wish, emotionally, psychologically, and especially geographically. Well, the word dror appears in only one other place in the Torah, in the book of Exodus, where Moses is instructed to make the anointing oil from 4 spices. Take for yourself the finest spices, mor dror, 500 shekels, fragrant cinnamon, half as much, etc. And mor, in the context of this spice, is translated in English as, I'm not quite sure now how to pronounce exactly, but it's myrrh, myrrh. Yeah. Myrrh is a resin, It's a sap-like substance from a tree that is common in Africa and the Middle East, and it's distinctive for its white flowers and its knotted trunk. And in Hebrew, the word mor is the same as mar, bitter, because myrrh is an exceptionally bitter herb. By the way, it's used in Chinese medicine together with frankincense, and it's reputed that its bitter flavor has the ability to expel toxins and to cleanse the body through its antibiotic, antiviral, and detoxifying properties. And that, by the way, may be the reason why the Megillah says that when each maiden's turn came to go to King Ahasuerus, at the end of 12 months of treatment prescribed for the women, 6 months with the oil of myrrh and 6 months with perfumes and women's cosmetics. So it was a toxin that cleansed the skin, made you look beautiful. And by the way, it is also a spice associated with death, because ancient Egyptians used myrrh and other essential oils to embalm mummies, as the oils not only provide a very nice scent, but they also slow decay. And scientists, of course, now know that that's because the oils kill the bacteria and all the other microbes. So mor dror in the incense, really lovely alliteration, mor dror, that is used in the anointing oil, is translated as flowing myrrh or pure myrrh. But how very odd that this bitter, toxin-removing herb that was this principal spice in the anointing oil and was also included in the incense formula should be connected with the word dror that epitomizes the concept of freedom. Bitterness and freedom seem antithetical, even contradictory. Perhaps the profound idea contained in the Torah's combining these two very different words is that the ultimate freedom is the one that emerges from or follows on a period of bitterness. Just as the bitter herb transmutes into sacred anointing oil or fragrant incense, the contrast between bitterness and freedom makes the freedom all the sweeter. Life takes its toll, as the pandemic has taken the toll on all of our lives. But beneath the pain, there is a cleansing process taking place. And then the Jubilee arrives, heralding dror, a time to renew, to repair, to realign, an opportunity to begin anew. And the sense that we all have is that we are on the very cusp. Shabbat Shalom.